James Gunn has now confirmed something fans have speculated about for a pretty long time. And I'm not kidding when I say it's a major revelation. The filmmaker just announced that The Flash will officially reset the DC universe. The film, starring Ezra Miller, is going to be a total reset point for the 10-year plan put into action by James Gunn and Peter Safran, the new co-heads of DC Studios. This confirms both the fans' hopes and fears. The next film's themes of time travel and multiverse provide Gunn and Safran with the perfect explanation to begin their new DC Universe plot from square one. But is it going to be enough to keep fans of the previous DCEU at bay? Well, time will tell. However, keep in mind that these are the same people who effectively forced a studio to release a special cut of a film years after it was first released. If there's one thing the DC fans are, though, it's dedicated. Anyhow, Gunn and Safran talked about how the upcoming films were produced at Hamada's request and will actually help with a smooth universe reset. Speaking of the DC Universe, Warner Brothers currently has 4 DCU movies lined up. These include Shazam, Blue Beetle, Aquaman, and The Lost Kingdom, and of course, The Flash. All of these will eventually lead to Gunn's new DCU, with The Flash supposedly wiping the slate clean. That said, I can't help but feel that this couldn't have been the original plan for The Flash. In 2014, the same year Miller debuted as the Scarlet Speedster in the DC Extended Universe, The Flash's standalone film was first announced. Since then, a lot has occurred, such as Zack Snyder getting fired from Warner Brothers and Walter Hamada seizing control of the DC Universe. Before it finally became a recreation of the infamous Flashpoint plot, The Flash underwent numerous revisions. The Flash utilizes the Speed Force in the story to go back in time and stop his mother's murder. But he intentionally wipes out the multiverse and wakes up in a world where his old friends have become vicious foes. Way to go, Flash! Since the movie would adopt the Flashpoint plot, it makes logical sense to use this as a justification to clean up some loose ends and advance with a united DCU. And you know what? That may be for the better. DC has always suffered from jumbled and confused storylines, but according to James Gunn, things are about to change. Well, I sure hope so. While talking to the press, he had many important things to say regarding the new DCU timeline. According to the filmmaker, at one point, he asked himself if they could put all of these things together in a way that makes sense, a way that unifies them, and creates a single, actual universe. Since they have Shazam, The Flash, which resets everything, and Blue Beetle, which is completely unrelated, he honestly believes that they've been lucky with the following 4 films. But the one thing he can guarantee is that everything will be canon and related, starting with their very first project. However, some past actors are making their way back, and some aren't. But after that, everything will be connected and constant. They are all aware that the recent years have been chaotic, particularly as a result of the DCU's inability to consistently maintain a single unifying plot. And so, a blank slate seems like an ideal chance to lay a good foundation for the future. Now that said, you may be hearing Flashpoint a lot. What's that all about? Well, the answer to your question, young grasshopper, is one of the best storylines in DC history. Just like I mentioned before, the Flashpoint storyline's main conflict involves Alan traveling through time to stop his mother's murder from happening. But did you know it leads to some wacky changes to the DC universe? Like a timeline where Bruce Wayne was slain instead of his parents. And speaking of his parents, Martha Wayne turned into the Joker, and Thomas Wayne evolved into a deadly Batman as the result of the time leap. The story will undoubtedly have several shocks, despite the fact that the broader audience may already be aware of the storyline. In fact, Keaton was straight up confused after he read the script. Not just that, he actually had to be told the details multiple times. It's safe to say that starting the production of The Flash wasn't easy. And the film has had a long road to the big screen. The superhero film was initially scheduled for 2018, not to be confused with the CW series of the same name. But the operation ran into a series of difficulties, including controversies, rewrites, and plenty of other issues. But one of the major reasons why the project has taken so long is a new kind of technology. Yeah, you heard that right. Speaking at IBC 2022, an editor from the film talked all about it. We're the first movie to be using some very, very advanced technology in terms of having several copies of the same actor on the screen. He added that no movie has ever made use of this at such a scale before, and this is added to the long production time. But because of how amazing it looks, he's confident that the end result will be worth the wait. Well, Mr. Editor, I think the fans will be the judge of that. Multiple Ezras aside, who else has been cast for the film? After portraying the superhero in past DCEU productions, including Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, and Suicide Squad, Ezra is back in the role of Barry Allen or The Flash. Plus, there will be not one, but two Batmans in The Flash. How so? Well, both Keaton and Ben Affleck will return to take on the role of the Caped Crusader. In an August 2020 interview with Vanity Fair, director Andy Muschietti talked about Ben Affleck's comeback. He said that Batman has a very powerful paradox, his masculinity. Obviously, he said this in reference to the character's appearance, imposing physique and jawline. But he was quick to mention how he's also incredibly vulnerable. And well, I agree with him there. The film also features Michael Shannon, Sasha Calle, Saoirse Monica Jackson, and Ansha Trawa. Sounds fun, right? Maybe it's even worth the wait. But not everyone seems to think so, especially because the wait has been so long. The initial trailer came out on October 16, 2021, and was first shown at the DC Fandome. The trailer shows Ezra Miller, who portrays the title character, wearing the recognizable red suit. The narration is done by Michael Keaton, who says that we could be going to any timeline and any world. All was good until Miller was entangled in a slew of issues in 2022, including arrests, a charge of burglary, and a restraining order. Geez, talk about going from an on-screen superhero to a true supervillain. In response to their actions, some people questioned whether the company would release the movie on schedule. And it seems the answer to this is, well, yes. The Flash has tested incredibly well. It has actually earned some of the highest marks at test screenings since Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight flicks. Sadly, though, Ezra continued to spiral out of control and continued to get into controversy after controversy. The problematic behavior started with 2 arrests in Hawaii and a Vermont burglary accusation. But that wasn't all bad. In August 2022, Miller apologized and said they were receiving therapy for mental health issues. Miller talked about how they now recognize that they are struggling with complicated mental health difficulties. On October 25, 2022, Ezra also had a meeting with representatives from Warner Brothers. They apologized for bringing negative attention to the film and talked about how they would keep working toward The Flash's June 2023 release. If everything goes smoothly, then fans should be heading to theaters on June 16, 2023 to watch the movie. Anyway, what are your thoughts on The Flash completely resetting the DC universe? We'll see you in the next one.